My Paper Connection. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. I'm actually from Georgia, and I am going to show you how to make this beautiful card today. To make this card, we're going to be using the Blessings of Home, the larger of the flowers, and then the thank you sentiment. And we'll use this second to the largest of the layering diorama dies to create our stencil. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to bring in our, I almost said Big Shot, our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I have cut a piece of paper that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. The reason I'm cutting it that large is because it's going to be a stencil, I want to make sure I have room on the sides over here. And that way when it's cut, it won't cut through it because I need it to be whole. So let's go ahead and cut this out. Now you can save this piece for later, and there's lots of things you can do with it. You could even do the blending process on this, or you could, I don't know, you can stamp on it. There's all sorts of things that you can do, so you don't have to throw that away. And then this piece, the negative, is what we're going to use to color our cardstock. So I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper, and here's a tip for you. If you hold in-person card classes and maybe it's stamped on one side, or even if it's got goo on it, just fold it up and then you can use it later for your own purposes, which is what I do. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to tape this down on the corners. This piece is 3 7/8, I think. Yeah, 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, I believe it is. It's a little bit of a weird cut, but I want my, well, I'll just show you. I want plenty of this to show, and I definitely want this starry sky to show. But if you go down to a 3 3/4, as you can see, there's not a whole lot of space on here, and you wouldn't have enough space for it. So I just finagled it till I had it the way I wanted it. So the reason I am putting washi tape on these is to secure it. I learned the hard way. So the first time that I did it, or actually it was the second time that I did it, it didn't work because the force of moving my blender brush around shifted it. Even though it was, this was secured down on top of it, it still kept shifting and moving around. So what you want to do with this is you want to try to get it, let's see, so I've got space here and space here. If I go to that line and this line, then I know it's going to be even on my piece of paper whenever I actually color it. The other thing you want to look at is to make sure that you have space on each side, that it's not too much on one side or too much on the other. So I just kind of shift it around and look at it to make sure that it's not like off-centered on my page. And then I'm just going to hold it down, and I will put washi tape on all 4 sides, and that will keep it into place. I don't want to put tape here because then it would be covered, and when you pull it up you would have a white spot. So you don't want to do that. Now I have ordered the new tape from Stampin' Up. It should be coming in on Monday. I was just a little late to the game ordering it, but I can do something with that and show how to use it. Okay, so I've got it all tightened. It's all down. It's not going anywhere. I'm going to start out with Pool Party, and I am just going to ink up my blender brush. I'm going to start off to the side because I don't want it to have excess amount of ink, because if you do have an excess amount of ink, it's going to blotch when you get ready to do it. You'll notice how I kind of went at an angle. I'm going to do that with the Balmy Blue as well. Again, start off on the side of your paper and then add on. And I'm going to overlap the Balmy Blue, or the Pool Party, with the Balmy Blue. Then I'm going to do my third color of Pacific Point. And this really is a bright color, So you definitely want to start on the side with it first. And I'm starting up in the balmy blue with this one. The purpose of doing that is you want it to be kind of a gradient of color. So I'm going to come back with my pool party. I'm going to go over the top again, go down into the balmy blue, pick up my balmy blue again, go into the pool party and the starry sky. You kind of want it to be like an ombre so that you don't really know where one starts and the other stops. One stops and the other starts. Yeah, stops and starts. Woo! So on this one even, I'm going up just lightly. And I went a little bit too much, so I'm going back in with the balmy blue. And you see how that just kind of tones it down? There you go. It's so pretty. All right, so now for the big reveal. You're just going to lightly lift up. And I like to just very lightly and very slowly peel the tape off. It really doesn't matter if you go very slow or fast on this one because it is your stencil, unless you plan to use it again. Woo, look at that, how pretty. Love those colors together, so pretty. And there, you know, we have a lot of different yellows and oranges, different shades in the red family that, or even the purples, that it would make such a pretty card. I'm going to give you another tip about this washi tape. If you find that it's trying to stick and it wants to pull up, stop what you're doing and bring it up to your mouth and then just blow on it, like huff on it. And the heat of your breath will help to release that. Okay, put that to the side. Now I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus. And even as careful as I was, you can see it's almost down to the bottom and there's space up at the top. So it's not the end of the world. I wish it were more even, but it's not, so whatever. It'll work. Okay, so here's my Stamparatus. I love my Stamparatus. It's wonderful whenever you need to do cards that are repetitive. It's the same image over and over and over. It's also very good when you have very large images. In case you don't get a true stamp the first time, then you can do it over and over. Your Stamparatus comes with 2 plates, and it also comes with this foam mat that goes on top of it. You use the foam mat whenever you have photopolymer stamps. This happens to be a cling stamp, so I'm going to remove that. Then I'm just going to put my little liner on here, and I'm going to turn it over and take one of the magnets. It comes with 2 magnets. I actually broke one of them because they flew together. They are so powerful. So I'm just going to put it over here. I'll give you another tip. You don't want to put it too close to the hinge because when you put your stamp on there, it makes it harder to stamp up this area that's closest to that hinge. So I'm going to set it out a little bit. I'm going to line it up with the right here and then put my magnet on. And those magnets are so strong. Okay, so here is the mistake I made. When you're doing this, you're going to want to flip your stencil around and do this. I did this one other time as well. Believe it or not, I did this whole video yesterday and found that my card in my camera was full, 3/4 of the way through it, and I didn't know it. So I had to start over again. So anyway, when you do this, try to make sure, if you're using this particular stamp, try to make sure that this is up at the top and not at the bottom, which I did. Okay, so as you can see, it feels like it's directional, like the flowers should be going this way. And I suppose I could try it. I'm going to give it a try. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and place it down where I think I want it to be. I think I'll do it right about here. Hopefully. I don't know, I'm just not loving that though. I'm going to do it like this, like I did with the other. And if I have to, I'll flip it around. Then I'm going to take my stamp box, put it here, close the hinge, press down on it, and that will secure your stamp into place. Now I'm going to use Starry Sky for my ink. I'm just going to flip it over and then ink up my stamp set, or my stamp. Now I want to point out something else to you. I'm messy. As if you couldn't see that and you didn't notice it. I'm going to flip this light on too. I am messy. This will be okay because it's not going to get on anything. It's far enough up, it's not going to get on anything. And you'll notice that it is around the edges of the cling stamp. Whenever, and that's because I'm doing it upside down, but whenever you're stamping and you're not using your stamp apparatus, you want to make sure to try to wipe that off, because the chances of you not rocking it slightly are not very high. And so what happens is when you have the ink around the edges like that, when you stamp using your hand rather than this surface, it's easy to rock it, and when you do, you're going to get that line, and it's hard to get. You just have to try to figure out what to do with that then. This is going to be fine though, because it's not going to rock. It can't rock because it has a hinge and it's lifted up. Although I have had times where I did actually go too far on one side versus the other. It's better to just kind of press down in the center. Now we're going to see what it looks like. And you can see that's a little bit light right there with that large flower. So I'm going to go back in with that large flower, ink it again. This is the beauty of the Stamparatus. The fact that it's completely and totally lined up again, because it's not moving. And see how much better that looks? That's so pretty. Okay, while I have it on here, I'm going to take my, this is the little mister, and I'm just going to lightly spray like that. I want it to have watermarks on it, and I'm going to use my dryer real quick, or my heating tool, because I want that to dry so I can go ahead and put glue on it. I think that it kind of gives it an antique look, in my opinion. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is to stamp my sentiment, which is in here, thank you. And I'm not actually going to use for inspiring me. I'm just going to use thank you. And I'm going to stamp it on this piece. And I went ahead and just inked up all of it. And I did it crooked. Okay, let's try it again. That's good. That's really good. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in my little mini trimmer. And I'm going to trim that off. I love that they have the little lines so that you can see and make sure that it is actually level, even. Okay, I'm not keeping that one. This is the one I'm going to use. I'm going to trim a little bit off over here because it's a little bit longer on this side. And then I'm just going to trim that for inspiring me off. Yeah, not quite enough, so we'll just zap it again. There we go. That's good. All right, so now we're going to start putting our card together. I'm going to put it on a piece of Starry Sky as my card front. That will make up my card front. I do love Tombow glue. And the reason I like it so much is because it gives you a lot of flexibility and leeway. You can shift it when necessary, and that is really good. Okay, so now I'm using Balmy Blue as my base, and coincidentally, this is 4 by 5 1/4. I'll just glue that down. I think I'm going to do it this way because I feel like the flower should be going up rather than down. I don't know. That's just kind of what I feel. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, so let's just glue this down. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Silver Elegant, or the Simply Elegant trim in silver. They have gold as well, but I felt like with these nice cool colors that the silver would go better. And I'm just going to take it and wrap it around my fingers. Let's see, I think I'll do my 3 fingers. But just draw it in tight. And I do it about 3 times. Then I am going to take some washi tape. I didn't do this with my first card, but I don't really like the way it just kind of flops around out of control. I'm just going to cut it in half because I don't want it to show. And then I'm going to wrap it around it right here. I want it to stay together, and this way it won't show under my sentiment. Okay. Then I'm going to use a glue dot to put it down on my paper. And I'm going to place it, let's see, I think I'm going to put it over here. Okay, so now I'm just going to put a couple dimensionals on the back. I'm not going to put one in the center. I did actually put one of the little bones of it in the center and then thought, no, I don't want to do that, so I took it off. And I did that off camera when my phone rang. All right, so then I'm just going to just kind of straddle that piece right there. Then the very last thing I'm going to do is to put some rhinestones on it, because why not, right? Why not bling it all up? It needs to be blinged up. Everything, I think life needs a little bit more bling. And I'm actually doing a few more than I normally do. I'm doing 5 on this because I feel like it should be done in odd numbers. And it was so pretty. I felt like it just needed to be blinged. I maybe should have done one right there where I got a little bit of ink on it. Let's see if I can. I can. That worked. So I think I'll move this one as well and maybe come in right up here. Okay, so here are my cards. Same design, just done a little bit differently. See how messy that kind of is? I didn't really like that. I wanted it to be a little bit more orderly because that looks like it's going to fall out. So I just really love how they turned out. And I really like the water spots on it because it just makes it look vintagey. And I know that's probably not a word, but there you go. So anyway, if you have any questions, I would love to hear them. Any comments, I answer all of them. If there's a color combination that you would do and do it differently, I would love to hear that as well. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe and ring the bell and you'll get notice when I have future videos come out. I also do reels and stories and all of that on my Instagram and on Facebook. So if you don't mind, please follow me on My Paper Connection on Facebook and on Instagram. And if you don't find it under My Paper Connection, Vicki Parsons will work as well. Thanks so much. Y'all have a great day. Bye.